She spent just $5 on a fake boyfriend, but what she discovered changed her life forever. Emily stared at the ad on her phone, heart racing, the ridiculousness of it pulling her in. She could almost hear her mother nagging about when she would settle down, messaging her about another wedding invite for a cousin she hardly knew. The weight of expectation was suffocating, and the job she loved at Mel's diner just slipped through her fingers like water. Bills piled up, her dreams of adventure were fading, and that glitter of hope dimmed to a flicker. That flicker ignited a reckless spark. For $5, she could pretend to have a boyfriend, a dashing stranger to parade in front of her family. She laughed at the absurdity. Go to a wedding with a fake boyfriend? How could it possibly go wrong? When Jake, a charming actor whose eyes sparkled with mischief, showed up, their connection felt like a flimsy thread, but he had the handsome face and quick-witted banter her family would love. They danced around careless small talk, the tension of their situation barely masked by humor. No one knew of the struggles lurking behind each of their smiles, the sleepless nights for her, burdened by bills, and for him, the haunting shadows of his past as a veteran trying to find his footing again. The summer sun bathed the family barbecue in golden hues, laughter surrounding Emily like a warm blanket, yet a chill settled in her chest. As relatives munched on burgers and dished out sweet tea, whispers of judgment floated around them when they caught sight of Jake. Who is that? Looks like trouble. Emily's heart sank. The truth was, Jake was what her heart craved, someone real. A moment escaped her lips. He makes me happy. The room paused. Heads turned, incredulous glances met her, but it could have been the confession of a child. But a misunderstanding brewed. They fought, voices rose. You're not even pretending to be someone you're not, Jake spat, frustration dimming his charm. You don't understand. Emily shot back. Tears welled in her eyes, the comfort of easy approval was ripping apart. The next family gathering felt more like a storm than a picnic. When Jake walked in, quiet and solemn, the air tightened. Laughter faded, and Emily could feel their eyes on him, sizing him up. Instead of warmth, icy glares and murmurs filled the air, tightening her throat. But when they nudged her about better options, something snapped inside her. In a moment of boldness, she stood up, facing her family. You don't get it. Love doesn't fit into your boxes. The words came out before she could think again. Some relatives went back to their barbecue, shocked, others began to murmur in disapproval. Emily's heartbeat echoed in her ears. This was not just about Jake. It was about her, too, a deep need to be seen and accepted. As silence enveloped the moment, an unexpected tension danced in the air. Jake's eyes locked hers, a mix of hope and doubt flickering between them. Emily, he whispered, the warmth and strength in that one word grounded her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But Jake hesitated, weighing the burdens of acceptance against his desire for her. I can't keep being this facade, Emily, he murmured, guilt clouding his handsome features. Emily felt the chasm growing between them. Could she fight for what they had? Would she challenge not just her family's perceptions but her own? A phone call came in, vibrating against her palm, an unexpected chance to redefine what her life could be, and a test of her courage. Standing under the weight of that decision, she felt both terrified and excited. In that moment, the promise of something new and authentic hung in the air, a beacon amid the uncertainty. Would she seize the chance for something real or slip back into the shadows of expectation? A storm brewed within her, the anticipation swelling, leaving her anxious about what comes next. The phone call buzzed again, pulling Emily from the whirlwind of her thoughts. She glanced down, her breath hitching when she saw the name flashing on the screen: Mel's Diner. The familiar voice of Rose, her boss, filled the space, a sudden reminder of everything slipping away. "Emily, we've got an open shift tonight. Can you come in?" It was an innocent question, but it hit her hard. She could feel the weight of her decision looming over her like a dark cloud. Part of her wanted to bolt back to the diner, where things felt safe and predictable. The other part, the one that dared to dream, that wanted more, urged her to stay, to fight. "I am not sure I can," she stammered, glancing up at Jake. His expression mirrored her own turmoil. "Emily, we need you." "Just think about it," Rose pressed, breaking through her hesitance with the reality of missed rent and bills piled high. With a shaky breath, she ended the call. Turning to Jake, she found him watching her, concern etching lines across his forehead. "What did she say?" "I don't know, maybe I should just go back," she replied weakly, her heart racing at the thought of retreat. "No," Jake said firmly, taking a step closer, closing the distance their fight had created. "You don't have to go back to what's comfortable just because it's easier. You need to figure out what you really want." His words struck deep. Did she want to be a waitress forever? Was there a version of her life she could imagine that was vibrant and alive, or would she always be just someone's daughter, going to family gatherings with a fake boyfriend to satisfy others? In that split second, a resolve began to nestle within her. "I want to be with you, Jake. Not just a facade, but real." The words slipped out, and she felt lighter, like chains that had bound her slipped away. Jake's eyes brightened, but clouds still lingered behind them. "Then let us show them, Emily," he murmured with a mix of determination and longing. The weight of each promise they were making settled around them, and suddenly, it felt like both an adventure and a risk. As the group around them started to dissolve into chatter, Emily took Jake's hand, grounding both of them in a decision that felt monumental. Each squeeze sent a jolt of hope through her. "Let us talk to them," she whispered, taking a purposeful step toward her family. The distance from the barbecue felt electric, charged with doubts and hopes tangled together. Jake nodded, his grip tightening as they approached the throng of relatives. Emily's heart raced. She could do this. No more hiding. No more pretending. If they were going to make this work, they had to face the music together. "Hey, everyone," she called out, her voice slicing through the remainder of the small talk. Heads turned, cell phone cameras paused mid-click, eyes wide with curiosity. "I know this isn't what you expected, but this is Jake. And he makes me happy." The silence that followed was palpable. Jake kept her hand in his, a stone of support against the tide of judgment that she could almost feel washing over them. Would they understand? Would she lose everything, all over again? Just as whispers began to ripple through the crowd, she caught the shadow of her mother's glare, disapproval spearing straight through her heart. But something more powerful flickered within her. There was a chance here, a chance to finally be herself, to fight back against the constraints that had choked her life. As tension escalated, an unexpected figure rose from the crowd. Uncle James, always the peacekeeper, was about to speak. Emily's breath caught. What would he say? Would it help her cause or throw her deeper into despair? In that moment of uncertainty, she silently pleaded for his support. Would he help her break free and embrace this new chapter, or further tighten the family ties that felt like shackles? In the hush of anticipation, Emily steeled herself for whatever words might come next. The journey ahead loomed large and uncertain, but nothing seemed scarier than returning to the shadows of her old life. Would she find strength in the truth, or would fear and expectation win out once again? Uncle James stepped forward, his expression calm yet serious. He adjusted his glasses, seeming to weigh his words carefully. "Emily, I know it can be tough to live like this," he said, his voice steady, "but you have to consider what's best for you." Emily held her breath, feeling Jake's hand tighten around hers. She wanted to scream, to tell them that this was what she had decided. But instead, she stood frozen, bracing for the avalanche of doubts that might come pouring down from her family. "I'm not saying this to hurt you," Uncle James continued, his brow furrowed. "But it's essential to recognize the kind of life you want to build. Everyone has expectations, but it's ultimately your happiness that counts. A murmur ran through the crowd. Emily realized several relatives were nodding, though her mother's glare remained icy. This wasn't just a decision about Jake, it felt monumental, like the moment a dam breaks and waters rush forth, reshaping the landscape of her life. Jake gave her a sideways glance, encouraging her to speak. "Uncle James," she started, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. "I do want to be happy. And I'm so tired of pretending to be someone I'm not. I like being with Jake. He makes me laugh, and I can be myself around him. Isn't that what matters?" More whispers spread through the crowd. While some looked displeased, others seemed intrigued. The family barbecue felt less like a family gathering and more like a showdown, a pivotal moment where everyone's opinions collided, an intersection of their lives and expectations. "Emily has a point," her cousin Lisa piped up, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We're all allowed to be happy. Who are we to judge? Maybe we should support her instead of criticizing her choices." The tension shifted like the wind, and Emily felt a surge of hope. Was this really happening? Jean, an old friend from high school, straightened up from where he stood, chiming in, "I mean, come on. Love is hard to find, no matter how it looks on the outside." Then her mother spoke, cutting through the conversations, her voice sharp and unwavering. "This isn't about love, Emily. This is about reality. You can't base your life on some teenage crush. You're better than this, but I want this." Emily interrupted, her heart pounding in her chest. "This feels real to me. It's not about how others see it. I just want to live for me, not just to make everyone else comfortable." Silence fell over the crowd again, the weight of her declaration hanging in the air. This was at a moment that could either fracture her family or forge a new connection. She could practically feel the collective breaths being held, everyone suspended in the tension of that moment. Uncle James shifted uncomfortably, glancing between her and her mother. "It's a risk to choose happiness sometimes," he finally said, his tone uncertain. "But it's Emily's life." Emily's chest tightened with emotion. If only her mother could find a way to hear her, to understand the depth of her feelings rather than focusing on the surface. Yet, as she searched her mother's eyes, they seemed only to harden further, reflecting none of the warmth she longed for. Feeling the weight of so many eyes upon her, she turned to Jake, his gaze steady and full of support. He was in her corner, and that mattered more than anything. "Whatever happens," he whispered, "I've got you." The clouds of uncertainty hung thick, but for the first time, Emily felt as if she were standing on solid ground. She was ready to embrace whatever was about to unfold, whether it led to acceptance or more conflict. As the quiet stretched on, she braced herself for her mother's response, wondering if this was the turning point in her life to shatter the old image or embrace the new reality. What would be the family's final verdict? And in the wake, would she gain the freedom she craved? Emily's heart raced as the silence lingered, stretching like an elastic band about to snap. Everyone was waiting. The tension was palpable, and it felt as if the entire world had come to a standstill, eyes locked on her and her mother. Her mother's lips pursed tightly, a clear sign of her displeasure. Emily had seen that expression countless times before, but now it felt like a wall preparing to rise between them. Would it be the kind of wall that divided their lives forever, or one that could crumble with time? "Emily," her mother finally spoke, her voice low but firm, "you think you know what happiness looks like? You're throwing away your future for a moment of infatuation. You need to think about what's at stake." Emily swallowed hard, each word pooling in her chest like heavy stones. "I'm not throwing anything away. You're the one who refuses to see what I really want. I'm not a child anymore. This isn't just a silly crush, this is real for me." The crowd shifted again, murmuring among themselves. She could tell Uncle James wanted to intervene, to suit the situation, but Jake took a small step closer to her as if to say he would stand with her, no matter what. She needed that small gesture of support now more than ever. "You talk about thinking ahead," Emily continued, her voice shaking slightly but growing stronger. "What about thinking about me? What if this is what I've been searching for? It's not just about a boy, it's about my right to choose for myself. Her mother opened her mouth, again ready to counter, but Emily couldn't let her stop the momentum now. There was a fire ignited inside her, a wildfire that needed to burn away the doubt and fear. I want to find my own path. I want to make decisions based on my happiness, not someone else's idea of what I should do. Jake's hand tightened around hers. She could feel the warmth of his support, a lifeline connecting them in a sea of uncertainty. Maybe we should all have a little faith in Emily, he said, his gaze unwavering. She deserves the chance to find her happiness, whatever that looks like. Emily glanced around, connecting with the flickers of understanding in some faces. Even Lisa looked proud, nodding firmly, while Uncle James observed thoughtfully, weighing the weight of their words. I just want you to understand, her mother said slowly, love isn't always enough. Life has responsibilities, Emily. But I don't want to live a life dictated by fear or obligation, she exclaimed, her voice rising. Isn't it my choice? You, of all people, should understand that. Another silence followed, heavy but charged with possibilities. Emily felt like she was standing on the brink of a cliff, peering into a vast unknown. Would she leap into her own life, or would she cling to the safety of the past? Her mother finally rested her gaze on her, something shifting in her expression. There was uncertainty there, maybe even a hint of understanding. Was it possible? Could they bridge this gap? I'll give you time, her mother finally said, her voice softer than before. But understand that this isn't just about you. It affects us all. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Was that a concession? Hope bloomed within her. Thank you, Mom, she whispered, feeling the burden lift just a little. But just as brief relief settled in, a voice from the back of the crowd interrupted. What if this is all a mistake? Emily recognized it as her older brother, Alex, skepticism dripping from his tone. Are you sure you know what you're getting into? This could blow up in your face. The weight of her decision began to settle back in. What if this was all a gamble? As uncertainty returned, Emily realized that freedom was not merely about choice. It was also about bearing the weight of those choices, and maybe, just maybe, she was ready to face it all head-on. How can I be sure of anything? She said, her voice trembling but steady. That question hung in the air, and as she looked around at her family, she wondered how many were thinking the same thing. It wasn't just her life on the line, this was about them. All, the family dynamic hanging in the balance. And in that moment, she knew she was far from finished. If this was a battle, it hadn't reached its climax. The truth was, the road to her happiness was just beginning. What would it take for them all to come together, to understand not only her choices but each other's desires? As she scanned the crowd, she felt the stirrings of hope and fear intertwine. What would the next chapter in her life bring? Emily's thoughts swirled with a mix of determination and trepidation. She realized that this confrontation was just a preface to the deeper struggles yet to come. The murmurs of her family faded into a dull background noise as her gaze settled on Jake. He stood with his shoulders squared, unwavering, looking as if he had stepped out of a dream, a reminder of how beautiful possibility could be. Emily, Alex's voice cut through her thoughts like glass, bringing her back to the heavy atmosphere surrounding them. You really need to think this through. You're young, and you've got so much ahead of you. This isn't just about a fling, life is heavy and full of choices that linger. Her heart sank. Did he really think she didn't understand the gravity of her decisions? I know it's not just a fling. She shot back, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. I want more than just what's laid out in front of me. I'm not choosing to ignore reality, I'm choosing to step into it. Her mother's eyes narrowed, skeptical, but the warmth from earlier hadn't entirely dissipated. Emily felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could find common ground. Jake squeezed her hand again, grounding her. With a deep breath, she tried to soften her tone. What if this journey, my journey, could show us something different? What if it brings me closer to understanding who I am and what I want? The crowd quieted, their entwined anxieties hanging like a thick fog. Uncle James shifted on his feet, glancing between his sister and niece. Sometimes, we hold on too tight, out of love, Emily, he said quietly. Maybe what S needed isn't tighter control but trust. Emily's heart swayed with his words. She turned to her mother, searching for signs of recognition in her eyes. Mom, can you trust me just this once? I'm willing to make mistakes if it means I might get to really live. Her mother's gaze softened almost imperceptibly, and Emily clung to that moment, hoping it meant more than just fatigue from their argument. Before anyone could respond, a voice broke through the tension, shimmering with defiance. She doesn't need to play games for affection. It was Lisa, stepping forward with fiery conviction. We've all seen how it feels when you don't believe in yourself. Why can't we recognize her strength? Lisa's words echoed, stirring emotions in the group. Emily felt the collective weight begin to lighten, their shared experiences fueling her resolve. Jake looked at her, pride shimmering in his eyes. Perhaps they were all learning to embrace the shade of uncertainty wrapped around the idea of choice. Change is hard, Emily added, her voice unwavering, but so often with growth comes pain. I'd rather face that than live a life built on what others dictate. A thoughtful silence fell. Could they grasp the truth that even in the chaos, her journey was worthy of respect? Alex shifted again, more perceptive now. All right, but you need a plan. This can't be a free-for-all. It's a huge step, Em. I don't want to see you get hurt. I promise I'll think about it, she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But it has to start with trust from all of you. Finally, a spark of understanding seemed to flicker among her family members. This was not just her fight, it was theirs, an exploration of desire, dreams, and future regrets. Emily took a deep breath. If I'm going to do this, I need your support, not just second-guessing. Can we agree to that? But just before anyone could answer, a sudden shout rang out from the side, a voice familiar yet unexpected, wild and carefree. Did someone say boyfriends? Because I've got a $5 plan that'll rock your world. It was Joey, the neighborhood prankster, laughing as he strolled toward the group, completely unaware of the deep waters they were navigating. The tension broke, laughter bubbling to the surface, but Emily's heart raced again for a different reason. What was this plan Joey spoke of? Would it somehow tie into her fight for independence? Her mind raced with curiosity as excitement bubbled beneath the surface. If a fake boyfriend could change her world, what secrets could it reveal? What crossroads would it lead her to? The moment of clarity was rapidly morphing. Emily stepped forward, ready to explore whatever was on the horizon. Little did she know, this journey would expose truths buried deep within her heart, far beyond just adolescence and innocent crushes. Wait, Joey. What do you mean by a $5 plan? Emily felt a mix of confusion and intrigue. The attention now turned to Joey, whose carefree energy contrasted sharply with the heaviness of the earlier confrontation. He wiggled his eyebrows, clearly enjoying the moment. It's simple. You need a boyfriend, right? I can be that guy for $5. You can impress your family, get that freedom you want, and keep them off your back. He grinned widely, his shamelessness infectious. Emily laughed despite herself. You want to be my boyfriend for $5? Is that your going rate? Only for you, Em. He struck a pose, hands on his hips, and the laughter of the group grew warmer. Jake's expression turned serious, and he cleared his throat. It might actually be a fun idea, but you know, it isn't that simple. He glanced at Emily, concern etched across his brow. What happens when they realize it's all a show? Emily appreciated Jake's protective nature but felt a surge of rebellion. Maybe that's what I need, a chance to break free and show my family that I can handle things my own way. Plus, it'll give Joey a chance to show he can be serious for once. Joey snorted. Serious? That's not in my repertoire. But I will play the role, promise. I can be charming and supportive. All part of the act, you know. Her heart raced. Maybe a fake boyfriend wasn't such a bad idea. A way to test waters, to see if she could truly step into independence without the weight of expectations. All right. I'm in, she said, the thrill of rebellion coursing through her. Her family exchanged glances, still absorbing the sudden change of pace. Would they buy this? Would they back her? I don't know, Alex spoke up hesitantly. What about the potential fallout? If they find out it's all a ruse, fallouts are scary, Emily interrupted, passion fueling her voice. But if we don't take risks, how will we grow? Trust me, I'll handle this. She glanced at Jake, looking for support, and found it gleaming back at her an understanding that went beyond words. Okay, Alex relented, his expression still uncertain. But you need rules. Boundaries. This whole thing needs to be contained. Rules aren't my style, Joey retorted with a wink. I say we throw caution to the wind. The laughter erupted again, and Emily felt lighter, emboldened. Could this really work? Later that night, after the family had settled down and quiet returned to the house, Emily found herself alone in her room, heart racing with excitement. As she stared at her reflection, she barely recognized the girl looking back. She felt daring and alive, ready to embrace whatever tomorrow would bring. In her mind, the boundaries of her world were shifting, and she was at the center of it. She thought of the potential for surprise and the stories waiting to unfold. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Joey. Ready for our mission tomorrow? Remember, this is undercover boyfriend work. Maintain the charade. Emily chuckled, her heart soaring. She was stepping into the unknown, but it felt right somehow, as if she were finally claiming her voice. Still, beneath the thrill, doubt lingered like a shadow. Was she truly prepared for what lay ahead? Little did she know, combining the chaos of family expectations with the unpredictability of a fake relationship would lead her down a path of discovery she never saw coming. As she drifted off to sleep, a single question raced through her mind: what would she unearth about herself in the process? And would it change everything she thought she knew? The next morning came with the soft glow of sunlight spilling through the curtains, illuminating the room where Emily still wrestled with the excitement of her bold decision. The thrill of the undercover boyfriend idea mingled with a layer of anxiety as she replayed Joey's playful offer in her mind. What had she gotten herself into? She pulled on a comfy sweater, brushed her hair into a messy bun, and took a deep breath. The day ahead promised to be anything but ordinary. As Emily made her way down the stairs, the smell of pancakes seeped through the air, making her stomach growl. Her family was gathered around the table, laughter and chatter filling the room. The atmosphere felt lighter, as if somehow they all sensed the change brewing. Morning, sleepyhead. Alex greeted her with a smile. Today's the big day, huh? His teasing tone gave her a bit of encouragement. Got my disguise ready, just trying to look the part, she joked back, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Just don't embarrass us too much, all right? Teased her little sister, Natalie, her playful eyes sparkling. Emily chuckled, no promises. The playful banter made it easier to forget the knots twisting in her stomach. She focused on nurturing that newfound confidence, reminding herself of the purpose behind this ruse. If it worked, it could liberate her from the controlling grasp of her family expectations. After breakfast, Emily texted Joey, "Let's South meet at the park at noon. We can plan our approach." The reply came quick, "I'll be there. Can't wait to charm your family." Her heart danced at his enthusiasm. The levity Joey brought often felt like a breath of fresh air, something she desperately needed. Noon rolled around, and she arrived at the park, searching for Joey among the trees. He stood leaning against a bench, a sun hat perched jauntily on his head. He looked like he had wandered out of a movie, a carefree heart living life to the fullest. "Ta-da. What do you think?" he called out with a theatrical bow. "Is that your boyfriend look?" she teased, trying to match his energy even as her nerves flared. "Hey. Gotta make an impression. People will think we're the real deal." He stepped closer, a playful glint in his eye. Emily swallowed hard, struck by how easy it suddenly felt to be near him. Maybe Joey really could pull this off. They walked along the path filled with blossoming flowers and families enjoying the sunny day. It seemed surreal, the two of them concocting this plan, all to skew the opinions of those who thought they knew her best. "So, what's our game plan?" Joey asked, energy still bubbling over. "We just need to act natural," Emily replied. "Laugh at my dad's jokes, agree on things, just be convincing." Joey nodded, got it. Simple enough. His smile made her feel a flicker of hope. But as they passed a couple with a happy baby, something inside her stirred. A pang of doubt crept back. What if this faked relationship turned from amusing to complicated? What had started as a wild escapade now felt like a significant leap. Emily couldn't help thinking of the countless ways it could go wrong. A knot of fear tightened in her stomach, and she glanced at Joey, who was blissfully unaware. "Hey, do you ever worry this could backfire?" she asked, her voice wavering slightly. His expression softened, turning serious for a moment. "Every risk has its fears, right? But isn't that what makes life exciting? If it doesn't work, we'll find a way to laugh about it later." Her heart warmed at his answer. Maybe she needed that light-hearted spirit to pull her through. As they continued their conversation, Emily felt alive in a way she hadn't in ages, challenging the expectations, allowing herself space to breathe, to smile, to embrace whatever came next. By the time they reached the car to head home, she felt a spark of hope blooming inside her. But doubt still lingered, whispering reminders of the stakes involved. Could she truly redefine how her family saw her? Conflicted yet determined, Emily barely noticed the storm clouds gathering above. A sign of trouble brewing ahead. What awaited them at home would test not only her bravery but the very fabric of who she believed she was becoming. Emily's heart raced as they pulled into the driveway. The familiar house loomed before her, its cheerful exterior contrasting sharply with the turmoil inside her. She could hear the sounds of her family, the echoes of laughter and light conversation drifting through the open windows. Just like that, her bravery wavered. "Ready?" Joey asked, glancing at her with a grin that didn't quite match her anxious expression. "Yeah, kinda," she replied hesitantly, biting her lip. "Just remember, we're a couple, all right? Keep it convincing." The weight of those words settled heavily on her shoulders. A relationship built on deceit wasn't exactly a solid foundation. "Got it. I'm all charm and charisma today." He winked, but his playful attitude did little to quell her nerves. Together, they climbed out of the car, and she tried to visualize the scenario she had rehearsed in her mind. They walked toward the front door, and Emily's stomach flipped with every step. Would her family buy this? Would they even notice the subtle flickers of unease written all over her face? As they entered, the smell of freshly baked cookies greeted them. Her mother stood in the kitchen, hands dusted with flour, a welcoming smile lighting up her face. "Emily. You're back. And who's this?" Emily exchanged a quick glance with Joey before stepping forward. "This is Joey. My boyfriend." The words felt strange leaving her mouth, a truth wrapped in fiction. Her mother's eyes sparkled with interest. "Oh, how lovely to meet you. Emily's told us so much." Joey flashed a charming smile, fitting right into the role without missing a beat. "Only the best stuff, I promise," he replied smoothly. "Really? I hope you've got some good stories then." Her father appeared from the living room, his playful banter ready to welcome anyone who entered. "Sure do," Joey responded, sparking up animated conversations in a way that made Emily's heart swell with a mixture of pride and concern. She watched him easily connect with her parents, his laughter intermingling with hers, playing the part of the perfect boyfriend. As the afternoon unfolded, they settled into a rhythm. Emily became more involved, answering questions about school. Joey chimed in just enough, complimenting her thoughts with touches of humor. Slowly, she began to forget her fears, lost in the warm embrace of family life. But when her mother suggested a game of charades, something shifted in the air. The laughter continued, but for Emily, it felt different. She stole a glance at Joey, who was grinning while acting out a character, clearly in his element. And yet, there was something electric between them, something that felt almost real. "Emily. You're next," her father shouted, pulling her from her thoughts. "Oh, right." She stammered, the weight of the spotlight making her heart race again. As they gathered around, Joey's encouraging nod gave her strength. The game unfolded with laughter, but with each passing moment, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this spontaneous act had shifted something within her. She found herself laughing harder than she had in ages, basking in the delight of being open, carefree. After a particularly lively round of charades, Emily caught Joey's eye. In that brief moment, everything felt sweetly complicated. She was playing a role, yet something about him, a charm she didn't expect, was touching something deeper within her. But then a simple comment from her mother shattered her moment of bliss. "You two really look happy together. When do we get to hear about the engagement?" Emily's heart sank, the weight of that expectation crashing down on her. Panic bubbled inside as she exchanged a frantic look with Joey. Would he follow her lead, pretending everything was fine? "Soon, I hope," Joey quipped with a laugh, who seemed completely unfazed. Emily's chest tightened. He was taking playful liberties that pulled her deeper into this tangled web that she hadn't anticipated. He was right there with her, as charming as ever, but now she could see the precarious edges of the illusion they decrafted. As they continued the afternoon, everything felt charged, a unique blend of excitement and fear that made her words feel heavier. Could they navigate this facade without losing themselves in it? She was beginning to realize something surprising. Joey wasn't just a fake boyfriend. He was a spark of something real, and it terrified her. The storm clouds above seemed to echo her turmoil. What awaited them next would challenge everything she thought she wanted. Could she truly fake it until she found the real thing, or would the truth become too complicated to maneuver? Emily's heart pounded as she tried to absorb her mother's innocent question about engagement. The laughter around her felt like a thick fog, and she struggled to breathe for a moment. Joey's playful answer had dissipated her worries temporarily, but now reality crashed back in like a tidal wave. "Engagement?" she murmured softly to herself, the word tasting bitter. It was a leap she never imagined taking, and the idea of her family expecting something so serious sent a rush of panic through her. "Hey, you okay?" Joey leaned closer, his expression shifting from feigned joy to genuine concern. "Yeah, just peachy," she replied, forcing a smile that felt as brittle as the thin ice under her feet. The charades game resumed all around them, but she felt detached from the unfolding joy. She had to focus. Losing herself to this could lead to even deeper trouble. "Don't think too much about it," he whispered, trying to lighten the mood with a wink. She was grateful for his presence, but it was hard to shake off the facts. They were pretending, yet here they were, tangled in a web of expectations. The game wrapped up, transitioning into dinner preparations. Emily helped her mother set the table while her father and Joey chatted animatedly about sports. For the first time, she felt a pang of guilt. Joey didn't deserve to be part of this lie, part of her messy chaos. But as she glanced at him, she noticed how comfortable he felt, as if he belonged not just in her family's life but in some twist of fate, perhaps in hers too. "Dinner's ready," her mother called, the delightful aroma wafting through the air, and they flocked to the table. Emily felt a bubbling warmth in the room, an energy that made her feel alive among her family. As they all laughed and shared stories, an uninvited thought crept in: what if she didn't just want this to be pretend? "Tell us more about you, Joey," her father insisted, and Joey dove into a tale of a hilarious mishap at work. Emily was captivated, watching how he animatedly described each moment, his eyes sparkling with laughter. She could feel the pull he had, the way her family adored him. It was intoxicating, this sense of normalcy. "All right, let us see if Joey can handle some of Emily's cooking skills," her mother joked. Joey grinned, his eyes twinkling with challenge. Emily felt the warmth radiating from everyone, and the table buzzed with excitement. But as the night wore on, layers of laughter began to peel away. Glances exchanged between her parents suddenly felt too loaded. They were scrutinizing her and Joey, the weight of unsaid things hanging thick like the steam from the soup. Were they expecting grand gestures or some kind of commitment? When the dinner plates were cleared, Emily took a deep breath and decided to make a move. "You guys, But before she could finish, Joey leaned in, and their shoulders brushed. "What's the plan for dessert?" he asked, deflection lacing his voice. The moment was magnetic, a jolt traveling between them. Just cookies," Emily said, her stomach fluttering. The tension in her chest softened for an instant, but she felt torn, hovering on the edge of truth and deception. Later that night, while their parents retreated to the living room to catch a movie, Emily found an empty moment with Joey. "We need to talk," she said, her tone serious. "Talk? I thought we were having fun," he replied, a playful smirk still on his face, but his eyes held a curiosity. "No, really. This is getting too real," she confessed, her heart racing. "I thought this would just be a quick thing," but now he stepped closer, concern flaring in his gaze. "But what if it could be more than just a quick thing? I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I have," he said gently. Her thoughts were moving at lightning speed. What if there was potential behind their facade? Yet the fear made her hesitate. "What if we can't go back?" "Maybe we don't have to," he replied softly, his face serious now. She searched his expression, and in that moment, the walls they had built began to tremble. But could she risk everything for something that might be fleeting? Was it possible that from this pretense, something real could grow? As uncertainty washed over her, the sound of laughter from the living room echoed like a promise. Whatever emerged from this tangled web could change everything. Would she be brave enough to step forward into the unknown? Emily stood at the crossroads of her emotions, heart racing as the weight of her choices pressed against her chest. The laughter from the living room felt distant yet inviting, as though beckoning her into a reality where her dreams and fears could coexist. She took a moment, searching Joey's eyes for clarity. "Maybe we didn't just create a facade, you know? Maybe this thing between us," he began, his voice steady. But the fear of his words made her stomach twist. "Joey, it sounds crazy, but what if we're making this way too complicated? What happens when the truth comes out? Will I lose everything?" He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "What if the truth brings you something better?" A shimmering glimmer of hope flickered inside her. Could that be true? Did she want to gamble on this unpredictability, the wildness of it all, and discover who she truly was? "Tonight has been amazing," she admitted, her voice softening. "But I don't want to fabricate happiness. I want authenticity." Joey nodded, the tension in his face easing. "Then let's make it real. Not just platitudes, but real-life decisions." Standing there, she could almost feel the chains of her expectations loosening. It was a terrifying thrill to consider stepping into unknown territory. "Okay," she said cautiously, "let's embrace this." She squeezed his hand, feeling his warmth ignite a spark in her gut. Just then, the noise from the living room faded, replaced by a sudden silence as her parents emerged, looking for them. Emily could sense the air thickening with anticipation. "Everything all right, you two?" her mother inquired, voice laced with motherly concern. "Yes, just discussing dessert choices," Emily blurted out, hoping to buy more time. She exchanged a knowing glance with Joey, and despite the pressure, he smiled back reassuringly. "Well, we made cookies," her father chimed, breaking the tension with a playful grin. "Just a scrumptious reminder of teenage years, right?" The lightheartedness helped Emily regain her composure. "Right," she echoed. The cookies felt like a symbolic seal. They were sweet, innocent, and unassuming, just the way she wanted to feel, in control yet grounded among family chaos. As they returned to the living room for dessert, Emily felt a new sense of belonging surging through her. Their laughter wrapped around her like a warm embrace, and she pondered once more the effects of this spontaneous adventure. She looked at Joey, an unexpected ally, and felt tiny butterflies fluttering in her stomach. And then, amid enjoying the cookies, it happened. The playful banter transformed into something more profound. Laughter turned into stories, and with every passing moment, Emily noticed her family relaxing. The conversation started to veer into deeper topics, uncovering each member's dreams and unspoken yearnings. Before she knew it, they were discussing life aspirations, including those shimmering achievements her parents had pursued. "Emily, what will you do after high school? Any plans?" her mother asked, genuine interest shining through. Emily could feel the moment pulling her, the truth inching closer. "Honestly, I want to explore my passions, maybe take a gap year to travel." Her mother blinked, surprise coloring her features. The rest of the family leaned in too, listening, and the warmth of acceptance filled the air. "Oh, sweetie, that sounds wonderful," her father exclaimed. "Don't you think you need to consider a steady job first?" "I'd like to take risks first," Emily replied, her voice stronger than before. "Even if it means making mistakes, I want to learn from my own choices." Through the rising tension, Joey interjected smoothly, "Plus, having a solid backup plan is always good. Think of it like building a safety net." Her family chuckled, and Emily felt herself begin to shine, surrounded by understanding. Slowly, as they shared opinions and laughter, she sensed the bonds tightening just a bit, embracing her for who she was, not for what they expected her to be. Later that evening, as they settled down to watch a movie, a comfortable hush seeped into the room. Emily caught her mother's gaze. Something shifted, a quiet understanding blossoming between them. Maybe this moment had built a pathway toward acceptance, away from expectations. When the credits rolled, the laughter and warmth lingered, and Emily couldn't help but feel a joyful glow wash over her. This was the freedom she longed for, a sense of agency, a choice, a connection. Amid uncertainty, she allowed herself to lean into the happiness she had created, not just as a ruse but as a step toward authenticity. She turned to Joey, appreciation radiating from her. "Thank you for being part of this journey," she whispered. He chuckled softly. "No, thank you. You took the leap. Let's figure it out together." And in that moment, holding hands in that cozy living room, they stood both as partners and individuals, each navigating the complexities of life. Days turned into weeks, the facade slowly fading as something genuine evolved between them. They spent time together venturing out, exploring lives filled with laughter, and Emily began to realize how vibrant connection could be. Ultimately, they found the courage to approach her family again, no longer needing a charade but instead revealing the truth of their growing friendship. As they gathered, Emily's heart hammered, but courage surged through her veins. "Can we talk?" she started, voice unwavering. As she opened up, she could feel strands binding their narratives, her family connected in unexpected ways, embracing her journey, celebrating the moment she chose herself. In transforming that once fake relationship, something beautiful emerged, the empowering truth of who she truly wanted to become: free, authentic, ready to build the life she desired. She glanced at Joey, who stood beside her with a proud grin. There was no glimmer of anxiety, only love, a promise of what could be, untainted by preconceptions. And finally, she felt the sweetest harmony settle around her, an embrace that was truly unconditional, as it resonated deep within. This was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to not miss out on more exclusive stories that can transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these captivating journeys coming. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about the ending. What did it mean for you? Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Step up, true fans, and support the channel. Here's your chance to be part of something special.